Hello, everyone. Happy Women's Day. This is a time for all of us, regardless of gender, to celebrate the progress that women have made towards equality and discuss issues, possible issues, and solutions. To increase women participation in the field of medical physics, IOMP is taking several actions. For example, we are organizing this webinar. We are also making any effort to increase participation of women medical physicists in the committees of our congresses. For example, in the ICMP, the International Congress of Medical Physics, will be organized in Mumbai, India, in December this year. And we are inviting as many female medical physicists as possible to achieve a good female to male ratio. We have published several articles, relevant articles, and we are planning to publish more in the near future. So without any further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Loredana to start the session, to introduce the first speaker.
Thank you very much, John, for your kind words and for your continuous support of women in medical physics through IOMP and generally. That is very much appreciated. I would like to welcome everyone to this special IOMP webinar, which is dedicated to International Women's Day. Therefore, today within our organization, we are celebrating women in medical physics. For this webinar, we have invited 3 women physicists who have contributed both academically and professionally to the development of our profession. It is my privilege as the chair of the IOMP Women Subcommittee to introduce our first speaker, who, among many other things, has initiated a decade ago, in 2013, the creation of a women group within IOMP. Virginia Tsapaki is a radiology medical physicist currently working at IAEA within the Division of Human Health. She was involved in several regional and national training courses, as well as various missions and activities related to human health. Virginia was the scientific secretary of 3 IAEA publications and contributor to 3 other related guidance documents. Besides these, she has a vast clinical experience with over 150 publications in peer-reviewed journals. And she also served as a chair or member of committees in international organizations such as AAPM, IOMP, EFOMP, and EURAMED. Please welcome Virginia in delivering her talk on the needs of medical imaging and the IAEA perspective to improve women's health. Virginia, please.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Let me just first share the screen, and then I will start the presentation. Let's see if I can share the correct, because I have 2 screens. Do you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to give this talk. Happy International Women's Day. And thank you particularly to the IOMP Subcommittee of Women for this invitation. Before I start the actual presentation, for those who are not familiar, I would like to give some introductory slides and explain what the International Atomic Energy Agency is and what are its activities, and with a special focus, 1 point on gender equality policy and also on the medical imaging and improving the women's health. The International Atomic Energy Agency is an independent organization. It is within the United Nations, and it serves as the global focal point for nuclear cooperation worldwide. It consists of 175 member states and multiple partners. IOMP is one of the partners to promote the safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear technologies. Just as an example, we recently have 2-3 member states, Tonga, Samoa, and St. Kitts. The agency has different departments. One of these departments, as you see on the slide, is the nuclear applications, which assists the member states to meet their development needs through nuclear science, technology, and innovation. And within the nuclear applications department lies the division of human health. The department has also 8 laboratories in Cyberstop, which is 1 hour outside of Vienna. One of these laboratories works under the umbrella of the Human Health Division. And the program of the Human Health is to support the member states to fight against cancer, cardiovascular diseases, malnutrition, and other diseases using nuclear and nuclear-related techniques. Now, the Dosimetry and Medical Radiation Physics section lies within the Division of Human Health and is one of the 4 sections that the division has. We as medical physicists work closely with the member states and with our experts and the networks and departments to develop quality assurance programs, quality improvement practices, best practices in clinical medical physics, harmonization of dosimetry and development of dosimetry protocols, and we work closely with our clinical colleagues, the radiologists and nuclear medicine physicians from the Nuclear Medicine and Diagnostic Imaging section, and with our radiation oncologists that lie in the Applied Radiation Biology and Radiotherapy section, and the Human Health also a nutrition section, the work of which is to combat malnutrition in all its forms. Basically, the Human Health program is to build capacity and transfer technology for the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of diseases, and it has a lot of activities in order to achieve this effort through educational training and professional measures, through research and innovation, through the research project that the agency and the Human Health has, developing guidance documents, and of course, different audit and clinical audit programs. The agency has also a gender action plan. This plan was updated in 2019. It includes 4 different objectives. The one is to have gender balance within the house, to streamline, to mainstream and strengthen all the activities related to gender equality, to enhance both the internal but also the external communication about the agency's work on gender equality, and then, of course, promote an enabling environment supportive of gender equality. It has a lot of activities in this respect. Just to give you one example, the Human Health has more than 25 research projects and has 364 chief scientific investigators, 41 of which are females. Also, the technical cooperation program statistics show that we have an increasing participation of women. 33% are females in terms of fellows, scientific visits, training courses, meeting participants, and other project personnel. It has a toolkit to help inside the agency to develop gender equality. And this toolkit that you can see here is broadly grouped into 3 stages. One is planning, implementation and monitoring, and performance assessment. We have a lot of activities related to promote the work and the academic education of women in nuclear field. The most important of which was launched in 2020 in this direction, the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Fellowship Program that aims to help grow the number of women in the nuclear field. In the first year, it was launched in 2020. We had 100 students that they were awarded these fellowships, and a lot of women received this scholarship to study medical physics postgraduate program. And because of the big success, the funding was increased. And the next year, the scholarships were increased to 150 scholarships. And you see here pictures of the launch of the event. Another important initiative, which is actually now being announced the same time as the IOMP webinar, is the Liz Meitner program. It goes beyond the academic fellowship, supporting women professionals that would like to visit fellows nuclear facilities, research centers, scientific institutions. It is called the Liz Meitner program. The link is on the slide if you would like to find more information, and it actually matches participants' profiles and instruments together with institutions in order for women participants to expand their professional skills. We have also the agency chapter of Women in Nuclear, which is an organization within the agency, which is totally committed on the advancement of qualified women both inside the agency and outside the agency. The group has both men and women who are participants, and they are usually scientists who have, they feel that they need to play an important role to ensure that the nuclear energy and its applications remain safe and peaceful. The Women in Nuclear is fully supported by a group called Friends of Women in Nuclear. It was founded in 2017 during a meeting of the Agency Board of Governors. The group was formed to promote an increase in the representation of women in the agency. It has 39 member states and currently is being co-chaired by Spain and Mexico. Some of the activities only for 2023 was an event for the International World Cancer Day, a side event at the Conference of the Nuclear Power Plant Life Management, the inauguration of Women in Fusion, and many more are planned for 2023. Regarding the level of leadership, we know, and we have done studies within IOMP on this when I was in my previous life chairing the group, that when you increase the ladder, so when you go to higher positions, the number of women are becoming less and less. For this reason, the agency supports the women leaders that it has. If you go in this webpage that you see on the slide, you will see the portraits of the first women to lead key areas within the agency. And if you click in one of the pictures you see here on the slide, you will find more information about the particular women in the leadership position. But in our humble DMRP section, also we have women. We have approximately 50% representation of women in our section, but not only in our section. As we are talking in the next few slides about medical imaging, we have 4 diagnostic radiology medical physicists who are currently working in the agency. 2 of them are in DMRP, and we have our dear colleagues from the radiation protection of units of patients, which is with our safety, within the safety department. The agency activities in medical imaging are many, and you can see all of them on the slide. It will be difficult, of course, to explain what all these activities are in big detail, but for many years, the biggest focus of the agency was on training, which can be in many different levels: individual, national, regional, or interregional training within courses. And what we are doing during our evaluation the last years is, apart from the professional or scientific criteria, we try during the nomination and the selection process to balance between men and women in order to have gender equality during the selection process. Regarding the support to improve the women's health, we have a number of guidelines which focus to accurate and good performance of systems that are focusing on women's health. I think about 60% of the guidance on radiology are on mammography. So we have quality assurance guidance documents on screen film, on the digital mammography systems. We have a recent one in 2021 on automated QC methodology for mammography, and we have just released a publication on a handbook which has a big chapter on mammography. The remote and automated QC methodology has a lot of artifacts. Some of them are on mammography, and there are artifacts that appear during the image acquisition, and these images are presented and explained in order to facilitate the process of monitoring the accurate and high quality performance of the machines so that we provide the best practice for women's health. A publication that was just approved for publication, you can find it in the link on the slide, is the worldwide implementation of digital mammography imaging. It gives a lot of information if you wish to go from analog to digital, or give resources how to install a digital mammography facility. Gives ideal scenario of how this facility would look like. A lot of information on mobile mammography units, financial costs, depending on what you want to buy, CR, DR, and this will help you in your decision depending on the resources that you have. Our colleagues from the Radiation Protection of Patients units has also a lot of information related to women's health. I give just two examples of radiation protection of pregnant women in radiology, which you can find it in the link here, one for radiology and one for nuclear medicine. The human health has also a lot of databases. One of these databases that will be an interest for you is a database called IMAGINE, which is a global resources database. It has information on the number of machines, basically focusing on CT, MRI, and mammography, PET, and SPECT-CT, and gives maps of how many machines exist in different countries. You have here on the slide mammography units. In low income comparing to high income countries, and you see also different regions. You can filter these maps to find out more about a particular country, and this helps us in designing what are our future focus regarding, for example, support. You see here, for example, in Australia, you have 22 mammography units per million population, whereas in sub-Saharan Africa, you just have 1 mammography unit per million population. So it guides us to our activities. Just to give you another example of what the agency does in this respect is the procurement of 2 mammography units that were procured and installed in a ship in the Amazon River. There are 2 newly equipped ships. They go through the Amazon River. Despite the pandemic, these ships performed only in October 2021 more than 300 mammographs in order to help the women in this region to access breast cancer screening programs. And these are just one of the examples that we do. We have also a research coordinated project that focuses on mammography that is implementing the QC automated methodology. Specifically in mammography, in a wide clinical scenario. There are 11 institutions that are participating currently in this research project, trying to expand the methodology to breast tomosynthesis. We have also one individual activity on breast implants that we will publish the coming months. So in conclusion, to finish here, the agency's gender equality policy and action plan focuses to promote gender equality within the house, but also mainstream the activities across the different departments. The Marie Sklodowska-Curie program, the Lisa Meitner program, career development for more women in nuclear, the agency chapter of Women in Nuclear are some of the initiatives related to gender equality and internally and externally. Our human health program has many initiatives to improve the women's health, and the last years we have a big focus on imaging through procurement of mammography and other X-ray equipment, and of course through our traditional ways, education and training. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Virginia, for this very comprehensive and interesting talk. I would like to keep all questions for the end of this session. In view of this, actually, I would like to ask all participants that would like to pose questions to any of our speakers to do so in the question and answer section, not in the chat section. With this being said, let's move on to our next speaker, who will talk about the pioneer women in medical physics from the Middle East. She is Huda Al-Naimi, Executive Director of Occupational Health and Safety Department of Hamad Medical Corporation in Qatar. Dr. Al-Naimi represents Qatar in a number of international and global organizations, including the International Atomic Energy Agency and also the World Health Organization. And she also implemented some of their projects at a national level. Dr. Al-Naimi was elected president of the Middle East Federation of Organization of Medical Physics for the term 2018-2022, and she is also the president of the Qatar Medical Physics Society since 2018. Among other recognitions, in 2019, she was awarded the Healthcare Gold Medal by the Institute of Physics and Engineering in Medicine. Dear Huda, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, darling. Having a National Women Day, this is the time to celebrate years. And if you allow me, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my personal journey as a medical physicist from Middle East. And you know, when we are talking about Middle East, there is a special case for it. There is a stereotype about women in this area. So we're going to do the objective. Move the slide. I'm sorry, it's not working. Next.
Perhaps if you try to share your screen again. Okay, here we are.
Yeah, is it with you now? Can you see it?
Yes, it is not in a show mode. If you could, yeah, now it's perfect. Thank you.
Because I cannot see it.
It is okay now. It is.
It is okay. Okay. All right. There is, as I said, it's the women from Middle East can be have a stereotype of the how can we have a career like this? It could be in this shape, or this is a woman from Middle East as well. And you know, this is woman from Middle East also. This is from my area. However, you know, schools, when I go for a primary school, it's like this. This is a primary school. It looks like my school, my primary school. I don't know, it's my school or it's something else, but I was one of the students like these young ladies. And this is my university, Qatar University, where I graduated. And this is a photo also for graduated women from Qatar University. However, when I graduated from Qatar University, you know, the big challenge was that there is no opportunity to work, only for teaching, only for going for teaching. This is the work that is acceptable by a community. You know, we have to go to teach in a girls' school, schools for females only. So it is isolated totally from gentlemen. And this is, I know that this is not the work that I'm good on it from that time. So what to do? This is the biggest thing, challenge in my career. And then all of a sudden, this hospital been open, which was the biggest hospital and still it's the biggest hospital in my country, Hamad General Hospital. It's open in 1982. And they opened opportunity for ladies who graduated from science college to join them. So a lot of my colleagues who graduated from science college, they go for the hospital mainly to work as a lab technician. So I joined them and I go for the hospital to work. But I has graduated by physics, not biology or something. So what to do also? I start my career in a hospital, looking for a suitable job title, no recognition for a physicist. Of course, they don't know why a physicist coming to work with them. You know, when I joined radiology department, they were asking me, what you are doing here? What you are going to do here? No medical physics team, of course, no policy, no programs, no radiation protection service, no radiation policy, radiation safety policies or anything. It's only the lead apron which is there. And everybody thinks that the lead apron, it is the radiation protection. That's it. So this is the situation that I start my career in radiology department. However, radiology department opened a nuclear medicine department. And it was my smile. By that time, I start to smile when they open it. So I joined them. I joined nuclear medicine as a technologist. That's me in my beginning days, the hospitals. And I was joining the team, all of them gentlemen. There is no ladies, especially from my citizenship. No ladies working in this field or in the hospital. So it was very challenging. And this is the team that I work with them. And if you try to find me, that's me here, hiding, trying to be invisible because I'm shy, because it's so difficult for me to work with a gentleman. But I like my job. I love it. But I'm trying to be shy, hiding, not to be visible. But I was work with a big intention, with a big emotion. And I was visible because everybody seen that I'm working hard. I don't go even for a lunch break because I want to know more and more about the machine that I work with. I spend more time with the radiologist, with the doctor, with the specialist in nuclear medicine to know about this kind of job, what I'm doing. And then, you know, years is flying. This is my country, Qatar. In the 80s, and this is Qatar also nowadays, in 2022. So a lot of things had happened in the country and also in the community. The challenges when I was starting, there was travel borders, you know. I cannot travel by myself. I have to be accompanied by my father or my brother. Long working hours, we used to work from 7 to 4, and it was everywhere in the country, everywhere in my country, they are working maximum to 1 p.m. So as a lady, it's so difficult for them if she is married or having family to come back home by 5 p.m. It's so late for them. Working, of course, with a gentleman, which is weird that time. It's not anymore, of course. Language barrier was one of the challenges. Media coverage is forbidden. No allowed. It's not allowed for us to go to the media or speak for them. Ladies driving, of course, it was forbidding. We cannot drive our cars, so that the driver has to take us wherever we want to go. And now, of course, we have our license. And there is no local postgraduate program. So I cannot go for master degree or PhD locally. I have to travel, and to travel, I have to be accompanied by somebody. But it was long journey. It was long journey. There is a lot of stops, stations, challenges, problems, up and down, you know, like anything. It's up and down. Then I'm through that. I go for master degree. I go for PhD degree in Cairo. This is my master. This is a photo of my master from Cairo University. And then also I start to make a team from the hospital that I work on it. My hospital now became a big organization with 18 big hospitals, and I have my team as a medical physicist. We created the Qatar Society for Medical Physics with a beautiful team, really. And of course, we make the MIFOB, which Middle East Federation for Medical Physics. And then a lot of projects, a lot of our DI have been awarded the International Gold Medal Award from IBAM at 2019 or 2018. Yeah, and we celebrated every year, we celebrated the International Day for Medical Physics, and this is me, and this is my team in the section, in the department, I mean. And just a few months ago, we managed to publish the first book, the first reference in quality control procedure for diagnostic X-ray equipment. It's me and 4 of my colleagues, Dr. Hassan, Dr. Yanis, and Dr. Shadi. And I invite everybody to share us. This is also, you can find it online as an e-copy and a hard copy. Only 2 months ago, we published this book, which we are proud of it. And this is the country. There was 1 hospital, and now it's 18 hospitals. We are managing to make a big section to cover all the services belong to or covered by radiation safety or medical physicists for the 18 hospitals. And all our hospitals are accredited by GCI, Joint Commission International. For the MIFOB, we joined the MIFOB, of course. We created this MIFOB at 2009, and then I was first vice president from 2015 until 2018, and then from 2018 until last year, I was the president. During that time, we make a committee specific for women, and they published the first edition for Middle East community. And then they published the second year, they published the second edition from this booklet. It's a nice one, really. And I would like to thank my colleague Hanan El-Dosari, who was the head of Women Committee in MIFOB by that time. She was organizing this publication. And all of this couldn't be happen, of course, if I didn't have a support from my family. This is my son, Sakar. He's a master diver, and he say hello for everybody. And this is me and my husband. And I really thank you again to invite me for this beautiful day. Thank you very much. Thank you from Qatar. We host this FIBA World Cup, if you go with us during that. And there was a role for us as a medical physicist also during this to control the clinic and the stadiums. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Huda, for your presentation and for sharing with us your personal journey from a shy medical physicist, as you called yourself, to actually a leader in the area. I think is impressive, as most of us can only just imagine all the challenges you had to face to go from A to B and to achieve everything that you have achieved. Congratulations, and thank you again for sharing your personal story. We'll move on to our third speaker, who will cover a topic that many of us can relate to, wearing more than one hat in our professional life. Iuliana Tomadasu is Professor of Medical Radiation Physics and the head of the Medical Radiation Physics Division at the Department of Physics at Stockholm University, and also affiliated to the Department of Oncology and Parology at Karolinska Institute. She is currently the editor-in-chief of Physica Medica, the European Journal of Medical Physics. Iuliana is a certified radiotherapy medical physicist who, in parallel with her involvement in the educational program in medical physics at Stockholm University, is focused on hot research topics within the field of biologically optimized adaptive radiation therapy. Iuliana, we are ready to listen to your talk.
Thank you very much, Loredana. Thank you for the invitation. I am extremely glad to have the opportunity to give this talk on the International Women's Day. And, you know, as a woman, I was thinking to dress up for the occasion, but I didn't quite know what is the most appropriate outfit to wear, whether it's the academic gown with the doctoral hat, looking quite impressive, or maybe the hospital cap, or perhaps something, well, more appropriate for this festive occasion, something like an elegant hat. They are all there. They are all hanging in the wardrobe. We wear them at different occasions. We change them quickly whenever needed. We renew them periodically to keep pace with fashion, of course, and the continuous changing role of the medical physicist and the requirements for progressing within the profession. Well, today it's the International Women's Day, and the focus of my talk will obviously be women in medical physics. And as we all know, the number of women choosing to study physics and to further make a successful career, whatever the definition of success might be in this context, has been notoriously small in the past. The first thing that comes to my mind when thinking about this, it's this striking photography of the participants to the Solvay Conference on Physics in 1927, showing 28 men and only one woman, and that woman was Marie Curie. But of course, changes have come, time has passed. There are more women choosing to study physics nowadays, obviously, but the percentage is still low. For example, in US, the percentage of women undergraduates in physics is just slightly higher than 20%, and only 16% of the doctoral candidates are women. If we look now higher up in the hierarchy in academia, we will find that only 5% or less of the full professor positions in physics are occupied by women. So how many women would be in this picture if it would be taken today? According to the US statistics, 5% out of 29, it's 1.45 women. So Marie Curie will still be rather lonely there. Among the so-called STEM subjects, including science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, physics has one of the largest gender gaps. However, within the medical physics subject, the percentage of women is considerably higher. And this led to often giving the medical physics world as an example of success in attracting, but also in retaining and promoting women. And this might give us a false sense of confidence in what we are doing, because the statistics indicate that even if the number of women in medical physics is higher than in the STEM subjects, the proportion compared to men is still very low. Now, a recent study performed by my fellow panelist today, Virginia Tsapaki, and her colleagues under the IOMP umbrella and published in Physica Medica, aimed at assessing the situation and giving a better estimate of the global medical physicist workforce, identifying differences between geographical regions, and more importantly for our discussion today, investigate whether there is a gender dimension in higher hierarchy positions. Their study was based on a questionnaire that was sent out to IOMP members and well, different contact points in countries where there was no professional medical physicist society. And they were requiring the following information. What is the total number of medical physicists divided by the gender? What is the number of current elected executive board members of professional societies, and what is the proportion of women in the board? And what is the gender of the president and the number of women presidents for the last 10 years? And in addition, the IOMP archives were also investigated for data on gender composition related to the chairs of the committees, officers, and IOMP awardees. And the results of this study showed that only 29.8%, so about 30% of the medical physicists in the 93 countries answering the questionnaire were women, and hence
the goals of the United Nations and the European Commission on women representation were very far from being achieved. Now, the geographical distribution of the percentage of women medical physicists, according to IOMP survey from 2017 that I mentioned, was showing that in Europe, in the Middle East, in Latin America and the Caribbean, the percentage of women in medical physics was higher than in Asia, Oceania, and North America. These results, however, should be put into context, as there is a high difference in the number of medical physicists in these regions, as shown in this graph, giving the percentage of medical physicists in different geographical regions relative to the total number globally, according to the same IOMP survey from 2017. So the gender gap is about 30% for women in medical physics. If we look now further at the proportion of women in higher hierarchical positions, using as a surrogate the members of the society's executive boards, we see that women members constitute 21 to 40%. So the average is around 30%, reflecting that's the distribution of women in the medical field, but the medical radiation field, but they rarely reach the presidential position. This observation was confirmed by looking at the IOMP archive data, which showed that the number of women in higher hierarchy positions decreased with increase in importance of the position. So why is the situation looking like this? To answer this question, I propose to start by looking at the role of the medical physicist and the responsibilities that both men and women have in this profession. IOMP definition of the medical physicist profession states the following. Medical physicists are professionals with education and specialist training in concepts and techniques of applying physics and medicine. And that medical physicists work in clinical, academic, or research institutions. So by definition, we find that the medical physicists have to wear three hats, the clinical one, the academic one, and the research one, which is rather demanding for anyone. Do they have to do it at the same time? Well, it appears so. Even if we restrict the definition of the medical physicist profession to the clinical part, as defined also by IOMP, by stating that the key roles and responsibilities of medical physicists include the following: safety, clinical, management and planning, research and development, and teaching. So needless to say, these roles are valid for all genders. So what does it imply to be successful as a medical physicist? The definition of success, I would say, it's rather subjective. Conducting your work professionally with care and consideration could be as fulfilling for someone as moving up in the hierarchy all the way up to the top for someone else. However, in the conventional sense, a successful career in medical physics and professional advancement often involves, in addition to performing the clinical duties, extra activities in management and planning, for example, implying taking responsibilities in leading or managerial positions within the organization. It also implies doing research and development work, ideally within a formal research education and training program leading to a doctoral degree, which could literally entitle you to receive a doctoral hat as an academic insignia, the same as the one I received about 20 years ago. And it also involves helping disseminating research by publishing, and I might add, voluntarily helping others to publish by acting as a reviewer or as part of the editorial team for our professional journals in the field such as Physica Medica. And I would like to take a moment to thank all the reviewers and associate editors and authors in the audience for their help in running this journal. And finally, the road to a successful career in medical physics involves participating in the education of medical physicists and other professional categories and mentoring trainees and junior staff in medical physics. So there are many things to consider when taking this road for both men and women. How do the women do in comparison?
I'm sorry, Juliana, to interrupt you. Huda, can you please turn off your microphone? I've sent you a few notifications through chat, but you did not react. Thank you very much. Sorry, Juliana, really sorry.
No problem. I was just about to ask, how do women do in comparison to men with respect to success in our profession? Success defined in this way, being involved in management, in research, in development, and in teaching, in addition to, of course, all the clinical duties. Now, according to a recent study conducted under the AAPM umbrella on diversity and professional advancement in medical physics, professional advancement quantified as scientific publication awards and grants received, women are underrepresented in medical physics workforce, but also in the activities that are classically representative of professional achievement. So if we look at the proportion of women compared to men, only about 25% of the AAPM members are women. The same is valid for the proportion of women in the professional advancement cohort, which included in this study the directors of the Commission on Accreditation of Medical Physics Education Programs, the NIH grant recipients, and the AAPM committee members, committee chairs, and award recipients. There is hope, however, for the future, because the proportion of women is higher in the early career development advancement cohort, which was comprised of two subgroups. Early career leadership group, including the members of any of the professional advancement cohort subgroup younger than 40, and the early career research leadership group, which included those who received NIH funding, so research grants, an AAPM research seed grant, or an AAPM early career or junior investigator award between 2016 and 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Now, looking specifically at the trends in the allocation of NIH grants to AAPM members for men and women as principal investigators, we could see that although the proportion indicates male dominance, the trend is positive for women, which is, of course, encouraging. Overall, however, the conclusion of this AAPM study was that there is a progressive decline in the representation of women academia in roles associated with increased seniority, specialization, or qualification, in spite of the fact that there is a better gender balance among students. And the question is obviously why. And I would like to answer this question citing directly from this study, which says that rather than representing a lack of talent, ability, or motivation among those exiting the pipeline leaks have been attributed to a number of interrelated systemic factors, including limited networking and mentorship opportunities, social isolation within the workplace, disproportionate service and administrative burdens, work-life integration challenges, implicit bias, and experiences of harassment and discrimination, among others. I think we recognize those. While some of these factors are, well, more easily addressed at the institutional level, some others are deeply rooted and more difficult to overcome, and some others are at the crossroad between the institutional factors and the societal ones, such as the work-life integration, for example. Let us look closely at the gender differences with respect to work-life integration among medical physicists, with help from another study done under AAPM. A study based on a qualitative analysis of the gender distribution of household responsibilities, effects of career on work or work on home and family life, effect of family on career or work, support and strategies for reconciling work-life conflicts, and role of the professional societies in addressing work-life integration. The conclusion of this study was that medical physicists, and women in particular, experience challenges in managing work-life conflict. The conclusion with emphasis on women, it's not surprising, considering that basically none of the male responders reported carrying the majority of the household and childcare responsibility, and that the male responders were also more likely to report having partners who were primarily inside the home. Particular concern was expressed by the participants in this study about the effect of having a family on career advancement and the lack of dedicated time for research, which makes it difficult for medical physicists with children to pursue research, which affects their academic productivity as well as their professional advancement. Female responders expressed much stronger concerns and bigger challenges than male. So given the situation, what can we do to increase women's success in medical physics? There are no easily available solutions, nor university valid ones. Thus, we should continue to develop institutional, departmental, and collegial strategies to provide structural support to underrepresented categories towards professional advancement. And some examples that would be relatively easy to implement could be to allow, for instance, flexible working hours to accommodate the need to manage children's schedules, to set aside dedicated time for research at the clinic for those in need, to tailor career paths for women accounting for demographic backgrounds, and so on. At the level of the professional societies, one could also develop strategies to provide formal and informal support, and this is already done. We heard about that to some extent, well, for women in medical physics, of course. And the first thing that comes to my mind in this context, because my recent experience, is a recent help offered by AAPM to society members by offering childcare at its annual meeting. This is an example that could be easily followed by other professional societies and associations and conference organizers. And finally, we can do something at personal level as well. We can act as mentors. We can offer help. We can offer guidance to younger colleagues, lead by example, and so forth. And from my own perspective, I could say that there is no bigger satisfaction than seeing your former colleagues, former students, growing up, becoming your colleagues, developing as scientists, developing as researchers, working next to you, having fun, enjoying together the ride. So now coming back to fashion in medical physics and concluding my talk. The medical physics profession is demanding, and it requires both men and women to wear different hats, most of them at the same time. In spite of the several decades of effort, women still face more challenges than men in medical physics because of the complex historical, cultural, and societal factors. But it is time to throw away the old-fashioned hats, bring in new ones, tailor-made to fit equally fine all medical physicists, regardless their gender. So let us help each other to wear them with grace and elegance. So instead of acknowledgement, happy Women's Day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juliana, for this wonderful talk. And while you were presenting these aspects in general, we, or at least some of us, know very well that you indeed wear all those hats, if not more than those three that you presented. And honestly, sometimes when I receive an email dated early in the morning from you as an editor of Physica Medica, I wonder whether you sleep at all. So again, thank you very much for sharing these slides with us. We still have time for some questions and discussions, which is wonderful because we have these three speakers with us who delivered, I would say, quite different talks with different approaches and pointing out different issues in medical physics. We don't have that many questions specific to these talks, but those very few I will address to our speakers. Before that, I would like just to mention that the presentations will not be available. However, there is a recording of this whole session that will be available on the IOMP website. Now, we have a comment since we have you here, Juliana. rather than a question, a comment regarding the percentage of, when you were mentioning the leaders, that there is still quite a gender imbalance regarding the female leaders in medical physics as compared to men. And this is perhaps more general for the, let's say, senior researchers, because they can see in a trend among younger generations that actually more females try to wear this hat of a leader, whether in academic medical physics or in other professional roles. So perhaps in a few years' time, this imbalance won't be that pronounced in a leadership position as it is today. I have a question here that popped up after Virginia's presentation, so perhaps I will ask her to comment on this. There was a question related to the junior versus more senior physicists that apply for various fellowships or grants and so on and so forth, because obviously we try to stimulate early career researchers. So the question, which to me is very pertinent, what about the more senior researchers? Are there any particular opportunities for older or I would call them more senior researchers or medical physicists to apply for various fellowships? Because we well know, especially these, at least the Marie Curie one targets younger ones. I'm not sure about the newly launched Lisa Meitner, but perhaps you can shed some light on this, Virginia.
Yes. So first of all, we do a lot of training courses, regional training courses or interregional training courses. And usually the participation, the nominations are many. So when we have multiple participations from a different country, in the same country, we try to give, of course, priority to the younger people, as they have not the financial resources to attend this kind of courses. There is no official age limit. Everybody can participate, but when you have multiple participations, then you need to prioritize. In our case, what we are trying to do is to increase the number of the courses now that the pandemic has finished, in order to give more opportunities to people to nominate and be selected. Regarding the financial, the Marie Skoldowska and the Lisa Meitner is for young professionals, because what we have seen is that there is small interest, and I'm sure you from the academic environment, you can confirm that the interest in nuclear field has been decreased the last years. And we are trying with this kind of initiative to promote the nuclear field. Our field in medical physics is a very difficult field, because you have to do the basic, the bachelor, then you have to do the master's, then you have to do the clinical training. It's a demanding, I would say, profession to get the full, let's say, professional steps. And finally, if you want to go into the academic, you have also to have a PhD. So all this process is very demanding. But definitely there is no age limit. The more mature candidates can always submit their nominations, and we are trying our best to balance also not only the women and men, but also these kind of age differences. I hope this answers the question.
Yes, it does to me. Thank you very much, Virginia, and hopefully those that posted the question are reasonably happy with the answer. So yes, there is no discrimination. It's just a way of prioritizing, and this is fully justified. As you said, usually young people don't have access to grants and funding. It's like a vicious circle. You don't have enough experience, therefore you are not eligible for, let's say, research grants compared to a more senior one. So you have to find other ways of financing your continuous professional development. Yes, thank you. There is another question, a fairly general one. How can professional societies do more to increase gender parity, and also how women can help to increase work-life balance? That's very nice coming from a man. I might start the answer myself, being the chair of the Women's Committee in IOMP and also the co-chair of EUPESM of the women's group. We have several ways of doing that, both IOMP and EUPESM, that incorporates physicists as well as bioengineering professionals. We function globally. So all our projects and initiatives, they have a very broad coverage, and we try to several activities, starting from conferences and having special sessions on women in medical physics at all international and not only conferences. These sessions to try to encourage participation from women medical physicists. In case any of you would like to add something or to comment on this question, so how professional societies can do more to increase gender parity, or if any other panelists, I can say that we get great support from the president of IOMP, the former president of IOMP, which were men or are men, and they always supported the creation of these female groups and all the activities we undertake. So support does exist. Any comment? Yes, thank you. Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, just a brief comment. Before my comment, I would like to congratulate you and the Women's Subcommittee. In IOMP, we all appreciate your efforts. And congratulations to Virginia, Huda, and Juliana for their excellent talks. Listening to these talks, what came to my mind was that we need to answer your question, not to answer, but just to a brief comment. What came to my mind was that we need to attract more female colleagues to our profession. This is perhaps the most important activity, the best way, one of the best ways, in my opinion, to improve the situation. So we need to develop a strategy on how to attract young female physicists to our profession.
Yes, it is a very good point, John, that you are raising. And actually, probably the answer to that is a bit longer. My suggestion would be that all regional organizations could do something about that. Within EFOMP, yesterday, actually, we had our second meeting of early career researchers, and I couldn't notice that females dominated. Even in the steering committee, there were more females interested in leading the group than males. So indeed, the younger generations, let's say, are more emancipated, and the gender balance is, I mean, the equity you know, it's better pinpointed than in among the seniors. My recommendations would be that each regional organization, and implicitly IOMP afterwards, to have a group of early career researchers. And it's much easier if you have the young generation, you know, somehow separated from the seniors, and you stimulate them. You can first of all have some statistics on gender balance and stimulate young females to pursue this career, to continue their professional development, and why not to apply for leadership positions. I mean, just today you had several examples that it is possible despite all odds, as Huda has shown in her presentation. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Huda is a great example. I mean, despite problems, all those obstacles, it should be an example, in my opinion, to our female colleagues.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that is right. So I'm afraid that this is the end of our session. There are other questions and comments that our speakers have access to, so they could personally answer to any important issues, or you could perhaps contact them. In view of this, I would like to thank very much our three wonderful speakers for their inspiring talks, and to the whole panel, and to you, John, again, for your continuing support of women in medical physics, and for supporting particularly our subgroup of women within IOMP. Wishing you again a very happy International Women's Day, and keep an eye on the future emails that you are receiving from IOMP regarding any forthcoming webinars. Thank you very much all.